Welcome to the project IO Pet Person Sit Sleep Table. This project is very exciting because it's a little bit different from what you may have been used to. What you'll be seeing is actually images from a low camera on the floor inside of various homes and apartments. So the types of labels that you'll encounter here are going to be a little bit different. So let's take a close look at all the labels, attributes, and instructions so that you know exactly what you're doing in this task. First off, very important note, always zoom around the task very carefully to make sure you find all the objects that are listed in this label and attribute table below. And you only need to label the things that are in this table, not any other objects, but definitely zoom around to make sure you have all of them. All right, so this table lists all the objects that you will need to worry about in this project. There's going to be some labels that are different pets or people, so 4 labels here. Some labels that are actually pet accessories, so things for pets like aquariums, pet furniture, things like that. And for each of these, you'll need to answer whether that accessory is on the floor or not on the floor. And there's a category of sit-sleep table, which is basically a combination of different types of tables, where you have to answer what type it is. Different types of chairs, again, you'll need to answer which type. And then sort of sleep and other, so beds, cribs, and sofas. So these are all the things that you'll be looking for in these tasks. Really be sure to zoom around the image to make sure you find all of these objects. Now let's take a look at some of the annotation rules. All of these objects are going to be annotated with bounding boxes, so boxes as you often see. Here's the key rules. In terms of when you can group several objects together into one annotation, you can group small objects together if their pixels are touching each other. And here, a small object means something about the size of a shoe or smaller. So if you see a group of books or Legos or clothing or things like that that's touching each other, that would sort of be an example. But again, only look for objects that are listed in the labels table for this project. If the object is larger or the pixels actually aren't touching, you would do separate annotations for each distinct object. So in this project, we're not annotating shoes, but here's an example. These are small objects, but they're not touching each other, so each one would have its own annotation. Versus a clump of objects whose pixels are touching would be annotated with one box. But again, the examples in these pictures are just random examples. Always only look for the labels for objects that are in the label and attribute table that we covered above. In terms of visibility, only annotate the visible part of the object. So only what you see, not any part that might be hidden, for example, hidden behind this couch. Minimal pixel size in this project is 5 pixels by 5 pixels or bigger. So just make sure that both sides are at least 5 pixels large, and if so, you should annotate that object. In terms of label confidence, annotate and label if you're about 75% sure that you know what the object is. Basically, this means that if you think you have a good guess that this object is one of the objects in that label and attribute table, you should label it that way. Sometimes if the object is very blurry or very close up, you have no way of actually knowing what this is. In that case, you wouldn't want to label it. Again, random example, but just be sure that if you have a good guess of what it is, you should go ahead, box it, and label it as such. Sometimes you'll see either objects through glass or maybe reflections of objects. So if you see something through glass or maybe clear plastic, you have to be sure that you can clearly see the object and, again, have that 75% confidence that you know what the object is. If so, then you should label the object. So for example, here, these objects, you can tell that it's probably clothing inside here. You'd want to annotate it. With mirrors, you only want to annotate things that are perfect reflections, like this cat here. What you do not want to annotate is sort of bad reflections. For example, like this might be a window that's reflecting in a TV monitor, but this is not a clear reflection, so you would not annotate this window here. Really looking for these perfect reflections in mirrors to annotate. Extremities for people or animals. So if a person or animal is pushing, pulling, carrying something, do not include that object in the box. In fact, just annotate it separately if it's on the label list. If it's not on the label list, do not annotate it. So this guy is holding this animal. This animal also has a label for it, so both of them are annotated separately. While this girl is annotated, but this pool noodle that she has does not have a label, so you would just ignore it. You wouldn't box it at all. All right, for blurry objects, because sometimes either the camera was blurry or maybe there's smear on the camera, draw the box where you think the actual object is. So in this project, you're not looking at lights, but as an example, this light has some smear on it. You'd only still box the part that's the actual object, not this smear or blur. Make sure that you're drawing bounding boxes very tightly to the actual object. Do no more than 3 pixels of space between the edge of the box and the edge of the object. And then if the object is cut off at the edge of the image, keep that box still very tight around the visible part, and the box should end at exactly the edge of the image. All right. In this project, one important edge case to note, sometimes it'll be hard to tell what type of chair or even what type of table something is. Try to match the label or the attribute to the examples in this instruction doc based on how the object looks. Do not consider the location of the object. So as an example, a dining room chair might be standing next to a desk, and you want to still call it a dining room chair, or maybe one of those office swivel chairs is next to a dining table. You should still label it as an office chair. All right. The rest of the instructions here give you examples of each of the labels. So I'll quickly show through here and call out some important things. For people, you're looking for people of any age, including babies. For other pet or animal, you're looking at animals that are generally larger than a fish. So animals like ferrets, guinea pigs, birds, turtles, snakes, but you're not going to annotate like a fish in an aquarium. So ignore the fish or anything that's smaller than a fish. For pet accessories, it's things that are related to pets. You're going to have aquariums, you're going to have kennels or cages. Litter boxes is where a cat might pee or poop. Animal beds, bowls, various types of furniture for a pet. Pet toys, and then other pet related would be any other thing similar to the above. The exception here is you do not want to annotate animal poop or animal vomit in this category, but anything else that's related to pets, you'd want to annotate. And then the next big category is sit, sleep, table. Beds are again for more adult humans like this, but also includes bunk beds. Cribs are beds for babies. For chairs, one just high-level call-out is sometimes you might see a shoe rack that has sort of a sitting area on top of it. This would not be a chair, so you would not annotate it as a chair in this project. But baby high chairs, chairs for tables, bar stools sort of these tall stools that you'll see. Dining room chairs, often around the dining table, but not always. Living room chairs are usually these softer chairs, often found in the living room. Sometimes they don't have any backs, for example, like this. Office chairs often have this swivel. You'll often see them in offices, but again, they could be anywhere. Desks would be desks where someone might work. Sofas would be anything like this. Sometimes you'll see a lot of throw pillows on top of a sofa that sort of go outside of the box. You can ignore the pillows and just annotate the sofa itself. Coffee tables are going to be these smaller tables often in front of a sofa. Dining tables would be these larger tables where people might eat. Side tables or nightstands are often next to sofas or beds. TV tables are these sort of stands on which you may see a TV. Important here is that you should be able to see through it, so that you see there's no closed compartments here. So this, for example, is not a TV table because it does have these closed compartments. This is actually called a TV cabinet and is not labeled in this project. Great. So that's the instructions for this project. Again, very important. You want to make sure that all of these labels and attributes that are in this table are the things that you're looking for very, very carefully, trying to find each one and annotating with a nice type box accordingly. That's about it. Have fun with this project and good luck.